friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another this and that video. And if you're new, this is just basically a semi-weekly vlog that I do, letting you know what's going on around here, what videos I have coming out, videos I've already done that I'd like to direct you back to, and so on and so forth. Now, I do realize that this potpourri style video is not for everyone, but I do hope that new people especially find it helpful, and even the old people that have been following me for a long time, that they can be reminded of videos I have that maybe they haven't got a chance to watch, that they forgot about, or whatever. So, because we all get busy, and with 5 videos going out a week, I can understand people missing stuff. All right, well, let's get started. So, I did get another batch of shampoo made. I haven't had to make a batch since I think a year ago. Now, I have a couple of different video recipes out there on how to make your own shampoo. It's really easy, and it's something you can tailor to suit you, and I don't do it the same every time. So for example, the video that I'll be putting down below, I used colloidal copper in that and thought I'd give that a try. And I didn't bother with it this time, but just take my ideas and change them to fit you. So if you see that video, you don't have to use colloidal copper. You can just simply use water in replace of the colloidal copper. Now this one, I only used 2 herbs in this: rosemary and nasturtium flowers, because these are just a couple of the many herbs that are very good for your hair, and especially for helping to encourage hair growth. So if you're someone who's suffering a lot of hair loss, and a lot of times, especially if you're a menopausal woman, that could be where you're really dealing with a lot of hair loss. That's totally normal. And you know, when I first started going through menopause, yes, I was losing a lot of my hair, that it went from being much longer even than it is right now to up to shoulder length, which when it's pulled straight, it's probably about the middle of my back right now, but it used to be longer than that. With the different things that I've done, like making the hair growth oil and also diet does make a difference to help regain my hair almost back to what it was before I hit that age. So anyway, yeah, that's what I did this time. I just used the 2 herbs. I basically make a tea, and I use my own homemade natural soap, but there's other types of soap you can use as well, so don't forget to check out that video. And with that in mind, I also have a video coming out down the road. It's already done, uploaded, and set to publish, that I think will probably be about 2 weeks from the time you're seeing this, or the time that this is publishing anyway. That's another, usually once a year, I'll do an overview on natural hair care and natural skin care. Now, my natural skin care one was more about winter care that I did this year, and then the hair care one is just general, and I usually try to add some updates, more ideas, and maybe things I forgot to do and talk about in previous videos. So be watching for that to come out down the road. And then here, I didn't realize I still hadn't strained this out, because it takes us so long to work through the antibiotic extract that I made, I think 2-3 years ago. And this one I made in 9/24/19, so it's got a date on it. So the herbs have been sitting in here for well over a year, so I'm going to be straining those out and getting it ready. I don't need it, but I might as well get it bottled up so it's ready to go when we do. I just, because I think we still have some left from the last batch I made. We just don't need it that often. But this particular one, and I will be, by the way, doing a video, I still haven't shot it yet, I still got to get it together, about just like I did the one on the natural pain relief, and threw out a whole bunch of different herbs and ideas to help with pain, and even that wasn't all of them. I'll link to that video down below if I remember. But I also am going to be doing one on antibiotics, all the different forms of natural antibiotics, and how you can make your own. A lot of times, like some people have said, my first antibiotic was made with just nasturtium leaves. That's nasturtium. A lot of people say, what is it you're saying? But this is what the nasturtium plant looks like. The leaves in particular are really a great antibiotic, but there's many more out there. For this one, I decided to do a blend, and I used oregano, nasturtium, and echinacea. And I used equal parts of each, but you can make it however you want. A lot of times it's best to start with one and then just experiment from there. It's not always a good idea to try to make your own medicinal extracts and doing a whole bunch of herbs at once. You should try experimenting with just a single herbs at a time. That way, if you have a reaction, you'll know which herb it is. Then you can start putting your blends together that way. So anyway, this is just one of the many ways you can make an antibiotic extract. I thought I did a video on this, but I can't seem to find it. But I'll link to my old video that I did that I think is 3 years old now. So you can check that out and see how I did that. I did do 2 different ones in there. One is non-alcoholic and one does have, I think, homemade wine. Oh, and I was going to talk about this first. This is kind of funny. And those of you who've been following me for a while and you remember the whole boot scam thing that I went through, guess what came back to me in the mail the other day? Those horrible, fraudulent, junky boots that were supposed to be Ariat boots. And yes, this is how they were shipped to me, all folded up, ugly, garish, hot pink stitching that I did not order. Now, if you're interested, I did a video on these and just basically how to avoid scams in general, online scams, because I learned a lot from this lesson. And I will link to that video down below. And by the way, I did get refunded all my money. I mean, there's no way I was going to pay $80 for this junk, you know, that claimed to be Ariat boots, which is when they're not. In fact, let me take them out of the bag right now and show them to you. You'll laugh. Does that look like an Ariat boot to you? No, they don't make boots like that. Even though I did demand that PayPal refund my money, and they did after a lot of fighting back and forth between them and this Chinese company, which, no, I didn't know I was ordering boots from China. I thought I was ordering boots from America that were Ariat boots. So if that was frustrating enough. So anyway, they've been from China to here and back to China, and now they're back here again. But whatever. I don't know what I'm going to do with these right now, but I did try, just like I figured. I'm thinking they probably gave me a fraudulent address, and that's why I knew that was something like that was going to happen. But it's kind of laughable, but I got my money back. It's all dealt with. So I know a lot of people have dealt with different issues like ordering fraudulent canning lids, whether it be on Amazon or eBay or I'm not sure if Etsy, but I know some are actual websites that claim to be official Ball or Mason lids when they're not. They're cheap Chinese garbage, and they're scamming people right and left, and people are getting junk, and do not can with those things. And so yes, check out that video on how I managed to fight the issue and get my money back. I know a lot of people spent a lot of money and haven't been able to get it back, but you have to keep pushing and be persistent. Remember, PayPal is an American-based company, and they should be protecting the people in their own country, not some fraudulent Chinese scam artist, okay? So just throw that out there. But again, please check out that video. Even if you haven't been scammed yet, I show you a lot of ways to check out websites to be able to find out if they're a scam, if it's something you're really interested in. There's different ways that you can check into that. All right, and then in my last This and That video, I mentioned the Lost Ways book. And I've learned some things about this book. As you can see, I have 2 because we ended up ordering 2. It wasn't exactly a mistake, but I'll be talking about that in a future video because I'm going to do a video on these. And why I want to bring this up right now is if you haven't already bought the book, if you haven't already ordered it, don't. Wait until I do my next video on this. I can't shoot it right yet because I'm waiting for another book to come in, and I want to talk about it alongside this. But I'm saying this now, don't order this book until you at least watch the video. A lot of people got the book, like for me, for instance, I said, you know, Patrick really liked the book, and I skimmed through this one. Lots of great color pictures. And this other one that we bought, supposed to be the same exact book, has a lot of the same pictures, but it's paperback. I thought we were getting a hardback book, and the photos are in black and white. So obviously we prefer the colored photos, but these books, these 2, are not even the same. They have some of the same information, and some of it's very different. This has information this one doesn't, and this has information this one doesn't. So I'm actually glad we ended up getting both of these so I could do the side-by-side comparison, and I was just really shocked at what I was coming across. And this is why I'm now going to say, don't buy this book until you have a chance to hear my review that's coming up. I just need to gather some more information first. Just put it on hold for the time being. Now, I know Amazon is evil, blah, 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 blah. But don't forget, Amazon also, as evil and wicked as they are I am sure that every single one of us has some place or some brand that we buy or something, like even just being here on YouTube. YouTube is evil and wicked too, but you know what? I'm making the most of it right here, trying to share information in a place where you can get it for free. It doesn't cost you anything. And I can also get paid for the many hours of work that goes into making these videos. Yes, hours of work for each video. So, and I also like to use subscribe and save to order quite a few items, including, even though you can buy from Hoosier Hill directly, I do really like using Amazon for several reasons, and here's one reason why. You can see this is kind of very powdery looking. There's butter powder all around it. I just got this yesterday, which, by the way, I have a video just on this where I break it down and why I'm stocking up on it. Something you might want to look into. I'll link to that down below. I'm loving this stuff for many things. Again, it's not the best as just a straight spread, not near as good as fresh butter, but it has many other uses that you can use it in place of fresh butter. So here's what happened. This is how it arrived to me. You see that? And this. Now, that could be the fault of Amazon because it really wasn't packed in there very well. And I had other items in the box because it was my subscribe and save order. And so the butter powder got all over everything. Now, because I absolutely believe this was broke open in shipping and not put in there that way, I feel totally safe using this butter powder. And so I'm going to be repackaging it into a couple of jars, as you can see here, using the chamber that Patrick makes, and yes, does sell on our store, and my brake bleeder pump. If you pack those powders down tight with the end of a rolling pin or a vegetable tamper, that can help the powders from coming up out from under the lid. Or you can put some kind of barrier, like I like to use a piece of cotton cloth. You can use paper towel, napkin, coffee filters, or whatever. That will help your jars get a better seal if you're going to do that with powders. But anyway, so I'm not worried about the fact that this lid's broken because I'm going to repackage this anyway into some jars. No big deal there. One of the main reasons I'm bringing this up is that this is one of the things I do like about Amazon, despite all its evil wickedness, is that when it comes to something like this, it might be hard to find where to go on Amazon to get it taken care of, but I've never had a problem getting items replaced. So I just got on there, said I received my items. Same thing with Costco. I've got items from Costco that were broken. It was a bag of sugar, of organic sugar. And I just got onto the Costco site, went to the chat, told them what happened, bam, refunded my money or sent me out a new product just like that. So the hard part was finding out where to go because it was a food item. But once I actually was able to get on the chat, and I know I'm talking to a robot, but still, just like that, refunded the money. So now I have money to buy another one, and I still have this one as well. So it's kind of like getting a free container. I had an issue one time where I was ordering a belt for my treadle machine, and I was buying a whole spool of the leather belting so I could have at least enough to get 3 belts out of it because it was the best price. After purchasing that, they sent me a piece this long. And it wasn't Amazon, it was the private seller through Amazon. This long. That's not even long enough to make one belt. At first I thought, okay, it was just a mistake. I tried to contact them directly through Amazon 3 times, sent them pictures of what I was sent, and the size and weight of the package so they could see that obviously a package that weighs that little isn't going to have a whole spool of leather belting in it. When they didn't get back to me, then I went to Amazon. They took care of it like that. My money was refunded. Despite how wicked they are, like pretty much any company out there. But remember, Amazon is one of the ways that we are able to stay on YouTube, because YouTube itself they take a pretty big chunk of the revenue that we make on our own videos, and even then it can take a long time to build your channel up to a point where you're actually making enough that you could pay your bills. But Amazon is another way that has made us be able to pull this off, where we're both able to work from home, as well as our Etsy store, of course. That is our #1 income right there. But you know, remember, when you buy through different channels, Amazon links, you can boycott them if you want. I totally get it. I have total respect for that. But what I don't have respect for is when people get sanctimonious and talk about people like me or anyone else who's making the most out of using Amazon to help them get in a better position and acting like we're wicked evil people because we do that. I was actually going to save that for another video, so I'm going to stop there, and we'll talk more in depth about that in a separate video down the road. But I do just, it's just one of the things that gets my goat. Another thing, speaking of jars, this old jar was found in an old house, an old and abandoned house. And some of you may recognize this, especially if you live here in the States. Reliance brand, this used to be a coffee. Coffee used to be bought in jars like this, and they were actually good canning jars, despite the fact that they're bigger, more square, and they wouldn't fit inside the chamber, inside a 4-inch chamber like that. The reason I'm bringing this up, it's just a great old jar, but it's cracked and chipped around the edge here. You got to check your jars. This will not be a good jar for canning or for vacuum sealing, but that doesn't mean you can't still store stuff in it. But whatever you store in here, you want to make sure it's something that does not need to be vacuum sealed. All right, doesn't need all the oxygen removed. So you don't want to store tomato powder or something like that in there, because tomato powder is one of those things that will turn to brick if you don't vacuum seal it. A lot of your dried goods will store just fine in jars with just the lid on snugly. You could store some of your herbs. You just have to really kind of consider what it is. There's various different things that will be just fine without being vacuum sealed. And like I said, many herbs will last for years without needing to be vacuum sealed. Like the rosemary, for instance. This really, I do still vacuum seal this stuff. Obviously this one's not, because I opened it up to use it. It was though. This would be one of those things that would be just fine without vacuum sealing. So just learn the different things. One of the things to keep in mind is anything that's super, super dry, like a lot of your herbs can be, those are usually going to be fine without vacuum sealing. But things like nasturtium flowers are best if you keep them vacuum sealed. Your freeze-dried foods should be vacuum sealed or they'll turn stale. It doesn't mean you can't still cook with them, but if you're like me and you like to snack on a lot of that stuff, you lose that crunch, and it still has a good flavor, but it just gets kind of chewy. And dehydrated fruits, those should always be vacuum sealed. I wouldn't recommend not vacuum sealing them, but a lot of your vegetables will be just fine as long as they get very, very dry. You know, like your snow peas, your zucchini, things like that can be just fine in a jar like this. You know, just getting that lid on as tight as you can and not worrying too much about it. All right, well, that's my this and that for this week. Don't forget to check the links I'll be putting down below in the description box, and be watching for the new videos coming out within the next 3 weeks. Remember, I'm always 3 weeks ahead on my videos. My this and that and gardening videos are the only ones I try to get up within a few days of shooting them. Everything else is out at least 3 weeks, sometimes much longer. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.